Okay. Good morning, fellow Pelicans and friends of the UWI. Welcome to Pelican Talks, a YouTube live event where we promote interactive and positive discussion about a variety of topics and engage our UWI alumni across the Caribbean and the world. It's my great pleasure this morning to have as our special guest on Pelican Talks, Dr. the Honorable Dennis Lalor. Welcome, Dr. Lalor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Great. Dr. Lalor is a distinguished honorary graduate of the UWI and is therefore considered an alumnus. He is the holder of the prestigious Order of Jamaica. He's also a chartered insurer and is the founder and chief executive officer of the Insurance Company of the West Indies, better known as ICWI Group Limited and its subsidiaries, and is chairman of the board of directors. He has built ICWI into a large financial service institution in the Caribbean with interests in Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, St. Martin, Turks and Caicos Islands, the British Virgin Islands, and St. Kitts and Nevis. So you can see his influences across the Caribbean. He's a true Caribbean giant. He has recently celebrated 50 years in business, but we'll get to that later. And he has many accomplishments, and this is largely due to his talent and astute business acumen. Dr. Lalor, you are quite a fascinating person. Let's begin with your Caribbean roots and heritage. Where were you born? Are you from a large family? How did they view your success?
I was born here in Kingston, Jamaica, paradise. I'm one of 7 children. My brother, my only brother, and you can say I was dominated by the female sex. My only brother was principal of the University of the West Indies at Mona. He's still alive. He didn't think very highly, and I don't think he thinks highly of me right now. And I think my sisters thought that I was a bore.
I'm sure that that is absolutely not true. But anyway, thanks for sharing. So in terms of school, what high school did you go to? What were your favorite subjects? Anything that you particularly liked or disliked?
I went to Kingston College. I was in the science lecture of the classes. And I did Cambridge School Certificate. I left school in middle sixth form. And I had planned, at least my parents had planned for me to do medicine because my mother came from a family of doctors. But that was thrown through the window when I had to go to the hospital, which was quite near to Kingston College, with a broken arm. And when I saw people who had been in motor car accidents or what have you in the waiting room, the doctor killed there in me died. I just could not stand the sight of human blood. So when I went, got my arm fixed with the plaster, when I went home and I said to my mother, look, there is no chance of my ever putting on a white gown with a stethoscope in my ear. I was almost thrown out of the house, but she learned to live with it. And so I just got a job in the government service for about 6 months, and then was offered a job in the insurance business. I became the first person in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, to become a chartered insurer. And so I've been in the insurance business ever since.
Wonderful. What does that mean exactly, the first person to become a chartered insurer?
In the UK, there is a Chartered Insurance Institute, which is the premier, what I would call training unit for people in the insurance business throughout Europe. And it's a 3-year course. And at the end of it, you get an associateship, and then you do some more work, and you either become or you don't become a chartered, as in a chartered underwriter, a chartered lawyer or doctor or Indian chief.
Okay, I see. Wonderful. Is that something you had to go to the UK for?
No, it was done by correspondence, but the examinations were set by the UK, Chartered Insurance Institute, and the invigilators were appointed by them.
Okay, very interesting. So ICWI, it's Jamaica's first wholly Jamaican-owned general insurance company, and now stands as one of the region's largest leading insurance companies. At what age did you decide to establish ICWI, and what prompted you to do that?
Well, I tell you what happened. The organization that I was employed in, and at which I was encouraged to do the insurance exams. The principal there, he died, and he was the majority shareholder in the operation. And I thought that it was an opportunity for me to use what little experience I had and my qualifications to branch out on my own. So I made an offer to the estate of the principal, and that offer was accepted. I went to a former schoolmate of mine who was heading a branch of Barclays Bank, borrowed the money, bought the operation, and that started out as Dennis Lalor Insurance Limited, representing British insurance companies. And that went on for a few years. And I decided that instead of sending all of this money, the premiums and the services to the UK, shouldn't I find a way of maintaining my presence in the insurance business, but as an insurance company? And so I got together a few friends, and we put together the capital that was required by the regulators to create a local insurance company. And we named it the Insurance Company of the West Indies because it was our objective to be involved in insurance and financial services throughout the Caribbean.
Excellent, excellent. I actually now have a question from a graduate from Trinidad and Tobago, and he's asking, what exactly does it take to excel in the general insurance business?
What exactly it takes to excel?
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure I can answer that. Not having, I don't know whether or not I excelled, but I think that the first thing is you've got to learn. Insurance, certainly the non-life insurance business involves a lot of law because you're dealing with claims made by people who have been hit down by cars, claims by people who have fallen off bridges, what have you. So it requires a certain amount, and I would recommend that anybody who wants to enter the insurance business to get, if it's life insurance, the life insurance companies have a qualification. The general insurance companies have a qualification. Most of these are 3-year courses, which you can do externally. But would be advantageous for anybody wanting to get into the insurance business to set their sights on becoming qualified academically, because that's the best way that they can provide service.
Absolutely. Okay, very good advice. And I have another question from an open campus graduate in Grenada, who I suppose is also interested in starting a business, because he says you are an entrepreneur basically of your time, starting your own company. Any tips?
Yes, once you've made the decision, don't allow any distractions to, send you off course. It's going to be very tough at the beginning, but if you stick to your guns and you really are seriously interested in making a go of it, don't allow any pitfalls to prevent you from carrying through your goals.
Thank you. That was a really good tip. So you founded ICWI. What does it mean to you, and how do you think it's helped ordinary Jamaicans and other Caribbean citizens?
Looking at it objectively, I think that at the time that I did it, the thought process among my peers was that I was mad. And probably I was. But with hindsight, I think everybody agrees that the people to whom I have spoken convinced me that they thought that it was something that they wanted to, and some of them have emulated. So, it really is a matter of perception.
Okay, good. I now have a question coming in from a graduate of Mona, who is asking, really, what made your business work? You had the vision. Was it the commitment to excellence? What kept customers loyal, in your opinion?
Well, the importance of insurance is service. And from the beginning, our motto was, serving you is all we do. Mm-hmm. The second thing was that we insisted that anybody coming to work with us would either have to have a first degree from the University of the West Indies, of course.
Of course.
But a first degree and or some qualification, accounting, law, or what, so that anybody who is employed in ICWI group has, certainly in the head office, a first degree or some other qualification. We have at our head office 3 or 4 lawyers. We have several of our staff are graduates of the University of the West Indies, others from other universities. But we insist that you have something that provides you with the ability to think critically and otherwise.
Excellent, excellent. I find what is admirable is that you've used your expertise and experience extensively in voluntary service, because you're really a philanthropist at heart. For example, while building ICWI in 1980, you established the ICWI Group Foundation, which initially focused on improving science and technology in education. Would you like to tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yes, my brother, who at one stage was the head of the university, was a scientist. He did a lot of experiments on me, so a first-hand idea of his thought process. And so it really is a matter that we feel that it is important for any young person to be exposed to things that are real, that will make a difference, and that really matter. And that's really the basis on which I and the senior people in ICWI operate in dealing with persons with whom we are in touch.
Excellent. And I do think that those science and technology, especially nowadays, are extremely important. So kudos to you. What I'm sure a lot of people don't know is that you are a philanthropist not only at home, but also abroad. In fact, you have had the distinction of being the first non-United States citizen to be elected to the Board of Governors of the Washington, D.C. based Council on Foundations. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Additionally, as a member of the Switzerland-based International Institute of Philanthropy, you also served as a board member of the Center of Philanthropy and Civil Society in the City University of New York, and you're a former director of United Way International. So kudos to you on your international work. And then here in Jamaica, you served as chairman of the Lister Mayor Gilby School for the Deaf, and also as deputy chairman of the association. And we're going to come to what you have done for UWI shortly. But first, let's explore some of the other things that you've been involved in. You have been a member of the Privy Council of Jamaica since 1990 and served as the council's representative on the Constituted Authority. Can you share with our audience what you felt the impact this had, and why it's important for you, why you accepted this position, and so on?
Well, the Privy Council is the final court of appeal in the public sector and in certain other things. For instance, if you are convicted of murder, the Privy Council and sentenced to life imprisonment, the Privy Council is the only body to whom you would appeal or apply to have you released before. And you probably will recall that in days gone by, the sentencing was you will be incarcerated. And this is not written, but you will be there for life. It was life imprisonment. The Privy Council operates as a body that could or will be able to release you, you're having served the time. The Privy Council also deals with important matters like the elections, and currently we have in Jamaica a constituted authority, which involves statutory employees, but 2 members of the Privy Council are on that. And it is that body that oversees the running of elections in the days running up to the elections and on the day of the election. So we have a very wide responsibility, but we act really as an appellate body.
Okay, very, very good. That's important work. Now, as president of the private sector organization of Jamaica between 1990 and 1992, you assisted the government of Jamaica in its program of liberalizing the country's economy. That was a major task, I'm sure, and one of historical importance. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yes, you know, Jamaica had a great reputation as a tourist destination, a great reputation for creating lawyers, doctors, Indian chiefs. But what we did was rephrase that question for me.
I just wanted you to give our audience a little idea of how you assisted the government in terms of liberalizing the country's economy.
Right. The commerce in Jamaica was being stifled by the fact that we getting foreign exchange to do business was a very difficult thing. And companies were going under because of the inability to finance from purchases from overseas. You were only able to get a small amount of money in foreign currency from the banking system. And what the private sector organization was able to do was to meet with the important people in the government in relation to that aspect of our economy and convince them that by opening up the availability for foreign exchange, hard currency, Jamaica would benefit far more than by trying to put a ceiling on the hard currency availability. It involved some technical things, which I won't bore you with. But the truth is that we were able to convince the government at the time that by doing that, there would be an economic explosion in Jamaica. We had some resistance, but eventually the political directorate saw fit. And what we are now today in Jamaica is indicative of the wisdom of the government at the time to go along with us.
Absolutely. I don't think a lot of people realize the role that you played in that. So I think a lot of us, generations, have to thank you for that decision. So very interesting.
Well, it was a lot of us.
Yes, a lot of you, but you were president, so you led the charge. Okay, so importantly too, in collaboration with the CARICOM heads of state, you formed the US 50 million Caribbean Investment Fund, which was done to really increase capital markets in the region and to help equity investments throughout CARICOM, which is also a very important job that you've done.
And that provided a pool of money to allow a lot of entities to be created, which would not otherwise be so. And right now, at this time, we're in discussions with a view to creating another such fund.
Absolutely wonderful news. Great. So you heard it here first, folks, on Pelican Talks. Dr. Lalor, I know you love horses and polo, and you are a former captain of Jamaica's polo team, and you're president of the Jamaica Polo Association. But one thing I don't think a lot of people know is that in 1988, you conceived the ICWI polo tournament for women players when the world's highest handicap event was held. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So basically, as a woman myself and a representative of Caribbean women, we acknowledge your efforts for gender equality in this arena. Very good.
Well, let me tell you what, in my organization, among the men, they call me an honorary woman.
And why is that?
Because, well, going back to the women's polo, prior to our getting involved, polo was a male-dominated sport. I mean, going back to Genghis Khan. And when women equestrians worldwide are equal to men in ability, and therefore, what we decided to do was to create an opportunity for Jamaican women to play polo, and to introduce to Jamaica and the Caribbean the fact that women overseas played polo. And so we brought every year for probably about 12 years, we had a tournament with women from the United States, from England, and got people, women in Jamaica interested in playing polo. And that coincided with what we called a Road Angel Award for the best women driver in Jamaica. And that went off quite well. So we had these foreign players playing against women, Jamaican women. And on that final match day, we would announce the winner of the annual Road Angel competition, where we gave a brand new motor car to the Road Angel of the Year.
Excellent, wonderful. Great ideas. I support all of anything to assist women. So I'm glad that you're an honorary woman in this particular case.
Oh yes, no, I tell you, my ex-colleagues, I call them ex because they don't have the foresight that I have. But my ex-colleagues call me an honorary woman.
Okay, wonderful. I know you served as chairman of the Jamaica Racing Commission and introduced a school for jockeys. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, horse racing in Jamaica was the pastime of the plantocracy. And I would suspect that nearly every big plantation would have had a racetrack of some sort in Jamaica. And the jockeys would be from the peasantry around the particular farm. And so it grew up and became a tradition that the jockeys in Jamaica would be men, young boys, who probably didn't go to school, but who were small enough and brave enough to be enticed to get on the back of a horse, to ride the horse. And then races were run in nearly every parish in Jamaica. And so education was not high on the list of things that the racing people were worried about. My father had racehorses, so I knew a little bit about the conditions in which the grooms worked and the jockeys worked. And so when I became the chairman of the Jamaica Racing Commission, I decided to make a little bit of change step by step. And one of the things that I did was to create a school for jockeys with the intent that going forward, every jockey riding in Jamaica would be literate and numerate. And so what I did was created the school, got the boys and girls to come in. They had to reach a minimum of level 4 of the Jamaica School Certificate. And what we have now is a literate group of jockeys, male and female, who are riding here in Jamaica, riding in the United States, riding elsewhere. So every jockey that rides now in Jamaica is literate and numerate.
That's absolutely amazing. I have a comment from a graduate of the Mona campus saying that he didn't know that you were such a fascinating person and is finding this conversation extremely interesting. So that's great.
Tell him to send me a check.
Let me continue by asking about your association with the various airlines, because you were appointed a member of the board of Air Jamaica and then later became board chairman of the airline. And then, of course, you were involved in the divestment, and you are a director of Caribbean Airlines.
Yes.
I have a graduate from Barbados asking what you think should be done to improve travel in the Caribbean and whether it could be made more reasonable and therefore more accessible to Caribbean citizens.
Well, when I chaired Air Jamaica, I knew some of the persons in Trinidad. Are you with me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. When I chaired Air Jamaica, I saw possibility, and let me state at this juncture, I am a Caribbean person. I believe in CARICOM. I believe in West Indies cricket. And I felt that Air Jamaica was flying north. Air Jamaica was going to Europe. And so when the government in Trinidad decided to replace British West Indian Airways, BW, with Caribbean Airlines, I saw an opportunity for Jamaica to take the lead in achieving what Federation, West Indies Cricket and CARICOM had failed to do. And I spoke to the government here in Jamaica with a view to approaching Trinidad to say, why do we not merge the two operations, having a Caribbean airline and passing the Jamaican routes over to Trinidad. So Prime Minister Bruce Golding and I went down to Trinidad and we met with the government in Trinidad. And it fell on receptive ears. And so it was a no-brainer. And I really think that with the routes that Caribbean Airlines has got from Jamaica, the airline is now really Caribbean. It is being very well run. I was on the board of it for 7 or 8 years. And when the new CEO was appointed, I felt that I had done my term, and so I asked to be relieved of being on the board. But it's a great airline. It is going to do what Federation, West Indies Cricket, and any other thing has failed to do.
Excellent. We just need to make the fares come down a little bit. That would be the best.
That can happen, but it will take a little bit of time. But Caribbean Airlines is being well run, and it has a great future, and it should be and remain the airline of the Caribbean.
Absolutely, I agree. We do need our own airline, and countries that do not have their own, regional or national airline are definitely at a disadvantage, I'm sure. Okay, now Dr. Lalor, your association with the University of the West Indies, especially Mona, dates back to 1988, when following the September destruction of the Mona campus by Hurricane Gilbert, along with other private sector leaders, you were recruited by then Vice Chancellor Sir Alistair McIntyre to assist in fundraising. And this led to the creation of the UWI Development and Endowment Fund at Mona. Can you expand on this and take us kind of down memory lane as to how this happened and your achievements with UWI Mona?
Yes, I think this is one of the highlights of my existence. At the time, my brother, you're too young to know this, but my brother was, I think, principal at the Mona campus. And there was a, horrific result of Hurricane Gilbert, because the buildings that the university was using at the time were buildings from World War II in the main. And so the hurricane went through them without any difficulty. The insurance that the university had was hardly likely to be able to compensate for the loss. So what I did at the request of Vice Chancellor McIntyre was to put together a team to raise money to start the rebuilding effort. And what happened was that the corporate Jamaica rallied in a way that was really remarkable, so that we were able to commence classes, I think, in October or early November, when it was thought that we would not have been able to have classes until the following year. With that impetus, we decided, Vice Chancellor McIntyre and I decided that we would continue raising money for the university in order to create a war chest for the future. That was the beginning of University of the West Indies Development and Endowment Fund, which now, after all these years, has managed to raise and give the university over $1 billion. And we are now working towards another major project at the Mona campus. But there are UWIDEPs in Barbados and in Trinidad, so far as I know. And I presume that they are doing the same thing for the campuses there.
Absolutely, there are, but I do believe that Mona is way ahead under your leadership, and $1 billion is an amazing achievement. So thank you so much on behalf of UWI and all the students that have benefited, because I know that the UWIDF at Mona does a tremendous job in assisting students, sometimes not only with scholarships and bursaries, but they're very survival when they're going through tough times and have difficult family circumstances. So it's really tremendous work. The next thing I'm going to ask you or to mention is that you have been recognized by UWI alumni at Mona as well for your dedication to UWI, and you have been awarded by them the Alumni Association's highest award, most prestigious award, the Pelican Award, and you received that in 2008. So you are truly a super Pelican as well. And you not only have received that award, but many honors and awards for your achievements. And I'm going to share just a few with our audience. There are too many to list, but I will highlight that in 1983, you received the Prime Minister's Medal of Appreciation on Jamaica's 21st anniversary of independence. In 1979, you were awarded the Gleaner Company's Certificate of Merit for outstanding contribution to sports administration and financial developments. In 1989, you received the Regency Award for Public Service and were inducted into Jamaica's Hall of Fame of Thoroughbred Horse Racing. In 1993, of course, the most special award in our opinion, you were conferred by the University of the West Indies with your Honorary Doctor of Laws degree. And in 1994, you received the Order of Jamaica. So you were recognized as well by our government and people for all of your hard work. But what I find quite interesting is the span of your influence, not only in financial, insurance, etc., but in sports, in terms of philanthropy, in terms of student assistance, and so on. And in addition, you are a fellow of the Jamaican Institute of Management, the recipient of the Pan-Caribbean Business Leaders Lifetime Achievement Award, and you've been recognized by the International Insurance Society. So you have really served on many, many things. So tell me now, being a trailblazer and having established a leading Jamaican company, I'm just actually getting a question from a student graduate, of the UE Mona, asking about advice you would give young people, young alumni in succeeding in business.
The first thing is to get qualified, get a degree. It opens your eyes. That's just, the embryonic start. Stay focused. Once you just made a decision, stay focused. And no matter what the vicissitudes of life turns up, just stay focused. And my whatever success I've had has been because I have remained focused.
I think that's excellent advice. A graduate of our Cave Hill campus in Barbados now wants to know if you faced any particular challenges during your professional career.
Yes. One of the challenges, I think, the biggest challenge that I faced really was when I fell off a horse playing polo. When I fell from a horse, I was in a polo game. Another horse ran into me. My horse fell on top of me, and I broke every bone on my right side. My leg in two, my femur, my ribs, my hip, and my right arm. I was taken off the polo field by helicopter and went to hospital. I didn't expect to live, but I survived the night. And after about 6 months of pain and physiotherapy and what have you, I realized that it is possible to go to the deepest depths and yet still survive. I never gave up hope. And I would say to all of the persons who are listening or viewing that no matter how desperate you are, there is hope. And I have used that example that I have experienced to very good advantage to many, many of the young people that I have been in touch with.
That is excellent advice. And I think as well, importantly, quite often persons look at persons who are successful, more mature, and think, oh, they've had an easy life. But it shows that every one of us faces adversity, and the important thing is how you overcome it. So I think that was something that a lot of people will take as a tip for life, not only for professional life, but for life in all of its various facets. So thank you for that. I now have a question from a graduate of our open campus in Antigua. Do you travel a lot to see what others in your industry are doing or meet virtually? Do you keep up with trends, etc.?
Oh, I keep up with trends because I read a lot. I don't travel anymore a lot because we have people with me who are far better than I am at what I used to do. And so, I keep abreast, but the younger ones who are now in charge in the various areas and the various companies, it is their time to go forth and do my bidding.
Okay, very well. But I think in your statement, though, that you showed that you are happy and you prepare your employees to succeed. So there's succession planning, and that probably that's one of the secrets as well, that they feel valued and know that they can come up as well.
Oh yes, because you don't succeed by holding on. You succeed by bringing up.
Excellent point. Excellent point. I have another question from a graduate in Cayman who is asking, when not at work, what do you do?
When not at work, I read. I read a lot. And I am involved in Masonic work. I'm involved in helping young people with some of the things that they need. And, you know, just chilling out.
Wonderful. And you have dogs, don't you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have Rottweilers. I have Shepherds. And at one stage, I had 4 Rottweilers and 2 Shepherds. Now I'm down to 1 Shepherd and 1 Rottweiler.
Okay, very good. Well, I've had the fortune of meeting your dogs, and I think they're lovely.
Thank you.
Okay. What are your greatest joys? Any regrets?
Oh, regrets, I've had a few, as the song goes. But nothing serious. I think I've been very, very fortunate because I've had a good family life, and I had somebody in my early working life who believed in me, and who, quite frankly, is responsible in great measure for what I was able to think about doing, let alone doing, because of the confidence he had in me, and the way in which he made me think that I could do it. And if I were to offer a little bit of advice to anybody listening, it would be, do not allow doubt to prevent you from achieving the best.
Very wise words. Now, I know that you actually celebrated your 50 years at ICWI in June. So you must feel immense pride in that. And I know that they started off with the bang in the right place with a church service at the UWI Mona campus. So can you tell us a little bit about any celebrations, things that you did to mark that date?
Well, it was kicked off with the church service at the Mona campus, and we have just on Saturday the 15th, we celebrated with a huge reception of about over 500 people at the Terranova. And Devon House. And it was a spectacular evening. All the ladies came out in their finery. It rained like hell in the afternoon, but we were spared, and we had a great time. But we had our people from all over the Caribbean, and our reinsurers from Europe, from England, from United States, from Canada. And a great time was had by all.
I have a comment from a graduate in Anguilla who says that you mentioned just a little while ago someone who influenced you. So you would advocate for mentorship? for young people finding mentors or and networking, etc.?
Yes, oh yes, yes. No man is an island. And I benefited immensely from the mentorship that my first or my second boss, who was really responsible for where I am today.
Wonderful. Well, I would like to ask you now as we close, what do you see as the legacy you're leaving both to your family and to Jamaica and the Caribbean?
I think the legacy I would like to leave is that never doubt yourself. You can achieve what you want to achieve.
Very wise words as we end today's Pelican Talk with our distinguished guest, Dr. the Honorable Dennis Lalor. I'd like to thank Howard Shand, our digital media and database manager, who facilitates this YouTube live event. And we look forward to having you join us on our next Pelican Talk. Thank you very much again, Dr. Lalor, and hope I will see you again soon, I'm sure, with all the good work you continue to do. But thanks again for being our guest.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really enjoyed this. And hi to all of you out there.